Give a moment to update the freaking thumbnail and everything. That's weird. YouTube does have missed 2021. It just has missed 1993, which is like the closest thing to this. So whatever. Facebook is actually ahead of both YouTube and apparently Twitch. I could check my Twitch just to, if I can. There we go. Okay, it has two versions of Mist, and both of them have the same cover art, so no indication of Then add point click to it. Okay, just the default stuff. Okay, cool. So I still have the straw poll down there. Um, I'm using the Sim Saturdays interface because I feel like this is a game that you should probably be experiencing in full screen. Also, I just don't have. I'm too excited to play this game to try and like create a full interface like I have like for Cyberpunk or Mass Effect Legendary Edition or even um, Persona 5 Strikers. Like I love Myst and like the series in general, but oh, maybe I'll create an interface for Real Ribbon or whatever they end up calling it. Um, Starry Expanse project, which is now effectively just Real Ribbon. Okay, let's quick travel on Ladder Type Vehicle, haptics enabled. I do have the controller, my Xbox One or Series controller. It might also work on Xbox One. I have no idea. Might be interesting to try and experience the haptic feedback if it'll actually sync. I mean, I can plug it back in. May need to turn it off and turn it back on again. There we go. I mean, this game is probably best experienced with a keyboard and mouse, but unfortunately, I don't think they ever have developed a. Interact, look, toggle run, also interact with the right trigger, and rotate, flip with the yeah. Okay, there we go. We don't have super sampling, although we may not need it. Ray tracing is off. We turn that on. Everything is high. Is there ultra? No, there's no ultra. Oh, a restart is needed to enable ray tracing. Oh, that's great. Huh. So, how's that DLSS, or is that just available by default? You see my lovely ribbon wallpaper and the Unreal and Cyan. Well, now they're just called Cyan. I don't know if that's as a throwback or because they've rebranded themselves back. Not sure if probably turning on the green screen light is gonna. Uh, it's actually working this time. Oh, whatever. Okay, graphics. Okay, ray tracing is on, making sure it's still on. So we're going to use puzzle randomization because I mean I've played this game a few times, mostly with a walkthrough. At least when I started, like my most recent playthrough, I did not use a walkthrough at all. But like a lot of the solutions are still kind of up here. Although, like I know how to get to the solution, so we're just gonna go with randomized. Also, just to kind of see how it works.
I realized the moment I fell into the fissure that the book would not be destroyed as I had planned. It continued falling into that starry expanse of which I had only a fleeting glimpse. I've tried to speculate where it might have landed, but I must admit that such conjecture is futile. Still, questions about whose hands might one day hold my MYST book are unsettling to me. I know my apprehensions might never be allayed, and so I close, realizing that perhaps the ending has not yet been written.
Oh, but that is a little. I think the cursor sensitive to. This is. Well, that's. The fissure's actually just up there. Well, that's like interesting. Invisible walls. I mean, this actually would sort of explain like what drew us to this like spot in the middle of a desert. There's a little bit of visual. Oh, that's not a visual artifact. That's just my My chat bar. Okay. I could do both. The mouse is actually like a lot smoother than this. Okay, the like I don't. Does anyone make a mouse with haptic feedback built into it? Uh, One thing I want to just say, um, uh, or mention kind of off the bat, is that what I would personally want from a Myst remake is probably not what this is. Um, what I kind of wanted to see would be a a kind of proper remake, which would change a few things around. Um, Not just like randomized puzzles. That was one aspect of my idea for a proper remake of Myst, like sort of a reimagining, um, effectively. Um, um, Basically, well, one thing is that I would try to make it a little closer to like what the canon of of the future games would be. So instead of the brothers being in prison books, they'd actually be in prison ages, and there'd be a little bit of retconning from Myst 4 because they'd have like this clever kind of visitation chamber. The idea is that there's sort of a pressure plate, and that like when you link into this little building with a door facing outward into the age, and you kind of like the entire floor of the opening chamber is effectively something like a kind of pressure plate. And once you step off of that and into the age, there's this sort of rotating door that basically locks you out from um uh basically there's no linking book back. The linking book back is in a chamber. Like I had to draw a picture of it, but like it's like there's another little chamber in the back that is behind like a window, kind of, that contains a linking book back to Myst. Um, um, but basically the middle pit a part of it rotates around, and then suddenly the window is facing the outside into the age, and the doorway is now facing toward the linking book. So anyone who links into the age after that point would simply be in this sort of visiting room, which also has like a beacon signal thing that so you can like get the attention of whoever's in there. And the idea is that um, Atreus would catch somebody in there and then be able to effectively summon them and interrogate them and figure out like what are you doing here, get a read of whether or not they can be trusted. something effectively like that. So we could have, and the idea is that there'd be keys to unlock the gate and free either of the brothers, and you need like 5 keys from each of the ages. Like this also um helps to retcon, semi retcon the prison book, which apparently isn't canonical and doesn't really make a lot of sense even in the context of this game. Because like, how did if the pages were in the original book? So like, how did they end up in these different ages? Like, if you lose the pages, you aren't able to use the linking book. So like, are these magical pages that somehow, for whatever reason, once someone triggers a trap, the pages just scatter across the ages? Like there's some hints to it, maybe, but like it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I do wonder, and since we're reviewing it, I'm gonna bring it up when we get to it. If you're able to actually carry multiple pages from the same age at the same time, because it never made sense that you could only pick up one. And if they didn't change that, that's gonna be a negative to control. Yeah, I'm gonna try to review this. It's gonna be weird because I'm thinking what I'm gonna do. Right now, I'm reviewing Mass Effect 2. I've got several pages of notes, but I haven't finished reviewing Mass Effect 2, so I need to make sure that like I have room to review Mass Effect 2. So I'm thinking I might start like in the middle of the book, of the composition book. Um, but I'm also like, everybody's gonna be divided between review and making notes of from the various puzzles. So you'll like use one side to do puzzles and one side to review, or like puzzle notes, and the other side to review. Yeah. Also, another thing I would want to have is have like the ages themselves reimagined somewhat. Um, I think the one I probably would uh revise the most would probably be Channelwood, just because I want to see the monkey people, whatever, who were living there originally. Maybe integrate them into some puzzles, or just I don't know what. Um, the biggest thing change I want to make is to the central building, which is actually right there. Like, I want to have living quarters inside the central building, because there are no living quarters in MYST that we can see, and it's a little weird considering this is like kind of their central hub and like kind of where people lived, and yet we don't get a sense of it being a place where people lived. Anyway, oh, I'm using the controller. Huh. Yeah, the controller vibration isn't really. Yeah, the controller vibration isn't anything to like. When the Switch moved, the controller vibrated. It doesn't like feel like you're moving a Switch. I'm probably just gonna use a keyboard mouse. I mean, this is a point and click game, so we need a point and click. Might need to change the mouse sensitivity. Flip all the switches. The graphics do look very nice, though. I think like Real Mist, this like stands out from Real Mist because Real Mist, I think, was kind of just an attempt to recreate the original Mist in real time, and this is actually like roughly, and even Real Mist Masterpiece Edition, we're trying to recreate the original Mist in real time with roughly the same graphics that you would have gotten from the original game. If not slightly better. I would probably say that Masterpiece Edition of Real Mist is probably a little bit closer to um like surpassing the OG graphics. I could go in there just yet. But here's something they added for. Oh, that's interesting. I think it's something they changed from even Real Mist because I think the Real Mist had it spelled in English as Tiana, and I think they just decided to change it to Dunny. I mean, either way makes sense because she was presumably an English-speaking person. I mean, granted, the Book of Tiana is a little weird in terms of the actual canonicity of it. Here we have the best puzzle in the game. And we're not gonna get to it yet. We're probably not gonna get to it until it's probably the last thing we do. I, I don't think if the randomization works the way I think it is, we may not actually be able to beat the game, like speedrun it. Well, this is interesting. I'm not sure what to think about this. Like, this is probably a minor gripe, but I think this should probably be a negative. Like, if I'm gonna scale negatives, this would probably be a 1. Or maybe even a 0. I'm not quite sure. Like, I'm still tentative about, like, how reviewing is gonna go. But this would probably be an information negative. Or, I'm not sure what it would be. Um, because, like, in the original game, uh, each of these had a symbol, and they still do, technically. They each have a signal. I think it's maybe like this is where information and control kind of intersect. So here's my issue with the way it's been redesigned. In the original game, each of these, like, there's these weird sort of I don't know how to describe them. Like, they're they're like panels, and they have like a picture of each of these symbols is on there. So you go down these pillars, and each has like a symbol like on it or near it or something like that. Um, and you click them and you turn them on. You turn the symbols on. But the symbols are there when you go when you first arrive at the spot. The symbols are there. You can see the symbols. Yeah, I think this deserves at least a proper negative because the thing is, yeah, this is a negative. Like the more I think about it, this deserves a negative. I just don't know where to give it under. Is it can I think the information is probably the biggest thing because when I'm thinking about running around solving this, it's just going to be much more trial and error. It's going to be clunkier. Is the thing because when you figure out when you solve the puzzle is to figure out which symbols you need to activate. That's the puzzle. The puzzle is figuring out which of these signals you need to activate to raise this ship that is kind of out in the water over there. So that's the gist of this puzzle. And in the original game, the puzzle is find the symbol, find each of the symbols along this path, and activate them. Straightforward, simple. Now you have to go and be like, okay, is this the symbol I want? No, that's the flamingo. Is this the symbol I want? No, it's this other thing. You have to go by activating them and then deactivating them as you go, or just memorizing where each of them is, and and activating that way, or either memorizing or taking notes as to which of these is, which might be well do, but it's dumb that I had to do that. It makes the puzzle clunkier. It makes it actively worse. So like out the gate, negative right out the gate. The very first thing we're going to review is a negative, and it's going to be the information. Also, I'm thinking of changing information and control to information and interaction, but also it would be like my notes are already I minus and C minus, or I plus and C plus. So, and you know, I had to like do like int versus int. So I don't know. Um, the symbol, the puzzle symbols in the stone ship entry puzzle, or It's possible they could have done this to try and better communicate. With this could be an information positive in a way because I imagine maybe part of it was to just remove the ambiguity about which are activated and which are not. For people who maybe don't understand the idea that like green is on and red is off, you know, or people who are colorblind, perhaps. Because I think that may have been an issue because I believe the colors are like red to green. I mean, I'm not colorblind, so I can't really know if that's gonna. Um, I'm probably gonna say that this. Well, this they could have designed it in a way where you can still see what the symbols are before activating them. Like perhaps they're dimly lit or whatever. Something or other. Or there's like a another picture of a symbol, like next to it or something. Let's see. I need to get a way of. I think there's like four on each side. One, two, three. Okay. So we're going to draw a diagram. Just assume that everything is important, even though like it's okay. Also, I could do this like my last playthrough, have like some sort of webcam on there. So Okay, so just to make it clear to myself that this is what we get from look at the this doesn't make this like as I'll put all right next to it. If I need to actually draw it. This, I mean, granted, you could also, I suppose, do this just by turning them all on, and then turning the ones that aren't part of the combination off. A cross. Um, why add cap 2 R's there? Like, you can't even see it dimly when it's turned off. Anchor. A beetle. I'm not sure we're going to continue trying to draw these. Just write it down. And I. I think this is the first level that most people end up doing because it's sort of the easiest in a lot of ways. Here's the only actual puzzle that speedrunners need to solve in the original game. I don't know about this version. Because there's a switch you need to get there. Oh yeah, there's also, we need to find our first note. How do we find a note? Where is a note? Ah, it's on this. Let the message of utmost importance in our four-chamber beside the dock. In a number of marked switches on the island into imager to retrieve the message. Yours, Atris. Okay. How do we... There we go. That one there. One down there. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The invisible wall. We can't. Shift is sprint. Easy enough. I don't have a comfortable way to stay here. I went into the water turbulent pool right now.
I have to leave quickly. Something terrible has happened. It's hard for me to believe. Most of my books have been destroyed. Catherine, it's one of our sons. I suspect Akanar. But I shouldn't leap to conclusions. I'll find him and Cirrus as well. I should have known not to have left my library unchecked for so long. I've removed the remaining undamaged books from the library and placed them in the places of protection. You shouldn't have to use the books until I return, but if you've forgotten the access key, remember the tower rotation, and don't worry, Catherine. Everything will be fine. I'll see you shortly. Oh, and erase this message after you've viewed it, just to be safe. Catherine, my love, I have to leave quickly. Something terrible has happened.
Oh, that's.
It's hard for me to believe. Most of my books have been destroyed.
It's for consistency's sake.
It's one of our sons. I suspect Akanar. But I shouldn't leap to conclusions. I'll find him and Cirrus as well. I should have known not to have left my library unchecked for so long. I've removed the remaining undamaged books from the library and placed them in the places of protection.
I'll try the other ones. We don't know how to delete the message after we viewed it, so sorry. Marker switch diagram. I love this because you couldn't figure out what a marker switch was. Because you couldn't figure out what the heck a marker switch was. There you go. Cool there actually were like developer commentary integrated into this a la Half-Life 2 or Portal or basically any Valve game. There's tower rotation. Bunch of burned books. That conveniently those that are this is for Channelwood. There is a stone ship. Want to hear me read this? Watch my original playthrough. Okay, so here are the constellations. I should probably just take pictures rather than. Let's just do this more um, um, modern way. I don't know if there's an actual like camera system. I think they introduced that in MYST 4, I believe. There's I'll take some like actual notes for like stuff, but well, that's cool.
You must help me. Bring me a red page. I can't see. Need a red page. You must. Please bring it. Beg of you, bring page. Help me. I am serious. Given up long ago. There's one thing I know to be rescued. You must.
I think for like real MYST, they huh.
Serious? Is that real? A seal? You must
Uh, this could be another negative. I'm already fighting negatives. This would be. This is gonna be a game information negative, and I don't know if it really affects like gameplay as a whole. It's just this is gonna be another minor one potentially, but lacking um, beyond simply the style. The Ellie, please, I'm trying to take notes. I can't. Ellie, I need to take notes. It is critical. Beyond the stylized look. Beyond stylized look, the animations are robotic. Actually, uh, I mean, there's a little bit of
Serious? Is that oil? A seal? He was looking on.
and he look like this. He looks like the main character from Ride to Hell Retribution.
Cages.
Akira looks like the main character from Ride to Hell Retribution.
Forever and ever. Pages.
Like a
Have the blue pages.
yeah. I should say like
To me.
I'm probably just gonna say they feel lifeless. Okay. Oh, it's time to feed you. Is that what you're trying to tell me? It's time to feed you. It's time that you be fed. You barely even started the game. Okay, okay. You don't have to feed upon my blood. I mean, I know they're not like a major big studio. Like they're one of the few companies from like back in the day that hasn't gotten bought out by EA or Activision or Take Two or whatever. Thank God. But there's Kickstarter, maybe. I mean, granted, like you probably have to actually hire new actors, especially particularly for Aknar or well, really, like even for Atris. And I know that would be blasphemy to have Atris portrayed by anyone besides Rand Miller. Although, like in my proposed remake, he would be like doing a narration from like toward the beginning and end, where he's much older and like looking back at what happened. But then we have just another actor doing him. Beyond that, and then like experiment with like just maybe even face protection, like projection, like in MYST 5, like the face project or LA Noir being like the two notable games to try and use that kind of technology. Um, like that would at the very least help with the animation, especially since it is literally just the face in both cases. You know, um, face projection would be a lot better. And the thing is, like, consistency is only an issue for the very final scene where you meet Atris, and it's there in person. Like that's the only place where having to use video is kind of a little weird. But I mean, like the projection of H to space in the pool is literally a projection. It's two dimensional. Like it faces you no matter where you're standing. So it could have just been a video file. It's just the way they're reimagining it is as not being like a flat projection onto the pool. Um, anyway, power rotation. Well, that's kind of cool. You're literally moving it. Oh, it snaps. That's cool. I think I'm finally willing to give it a control positive. Here's our first positive. We haven't even talked about control yet. which is likely done for VR to creating a more tactile feel. Play them for the VR experience, but just as welcome here. It also snaps to landmarks. Further reducing time. Add an extra word there. Rotation bar. I'll just call it rotation bar. But come up with a better way to describe it. Um, also should give information positives. Um, this is probably a minor one, but um, yeah, we officially, at least overall, have equal number of positives and negatives. So right now it's net neutral. Okay. Oh, so now there's a handle underneath the painting. Huh. I might give that another information positive. As the net, so now we're getting to net positive territory. Like just little minor points, but worth mentioning because it's you know the philosophy of the original game is that you just sort of experiment, click on anything until that's kind of like the '90s puzzle adventure game philosophy. It's just randomly try and interact with everything until you figure out something you can do. The fireplace is not quite as obvious, although you are told, I think, about the fireplace. It doesn't need to be. It doesn't need to be that obvious that you can interact with it because you'll be told you can interact with it. So we just happen to discover early, then it's like, oh, okay. And probably something to do with one of the books in here that we haven't seen, I haven't turned off yet. I guess it's one of the other reasons why they may have made a serious kind of CG versus. There we go. That's kind of a good indication that like you need to decide this ship first. Although it's funny it says library on there when it should just say tower and then library. I guess tower once you arrive at the tower, rather than it should probably be the other way around. To be okay, like Spud gets you to the tower, then now it will get you to the back to the library. I'm not sure if that's worth noting. Okay, uh, this is a minor gripe. I'm still gonna call it bad. I'm still like debating about the system itself, but you know, whether or not I'm gonna have a 0 on the scale, basically, for things that I'm just making a note of. Um, Dimensional and static. Yeah, they could have gone the extra mile to make it feel a bit more real. I'm not even sure if they play into the day and night cycle. Like it's possible that this whole thing is like just looking at a actual two-dimensional panorama of the island in lore. That like they're static and two-dimensional. Though I wonder if I went back here when the ship is raised, it will be raised in the image. I'm not sure that would be positive worry. But considering that like almost all of these can be like interacted with in some way, like there's the gear that can be opened. I imagine there are some like alternate states that will be in here. Wait, how do I get back down? I need to click on it. Oh yeah, there we go. Oh, and the key is right down here. Okay. And this I'm assuming is randomized. Would that be information or control? I mean, you can control whether or not to randomize, which is a good point. But they are presenting you with information that is randomized. Like this is a weird thing where like again in this game I think information and control kind of uh, uh I might give it a positive for both. If I might do an information and control positive, and it'll be I guess two positives overall. Um, anyway, I had to debate whether or not to write it down. I mean, I already started writing some things down, so I still have my laptop. I'd probably be using that for notes. Support me on Patreon to help me afford a laptop so I can take notes and review the games much more efficiently. And these are definitely randomized. But yeah, there's one thing that would be randomized that would require a degree of additional voice acting, and I guess lip syncing, which would be the solution for the fireplace. Because there's a bunch of different patterns on random pages, and they tell you which page number it is. And I have to like actually film it and or record. Cirrus and Akin are both telling you which page it is, from like 1 to whatever. I'd hope that the quality for Starry Expanse slash Real Ribbon will be substantially higher than this. Because there's lots of seeing people like really up to you in real time. Like you'd have proper animation team. But this did confuse me at first because I'm used to clicking on the painting. This is difficult. Oh, this actually has a page explaining the fireplace. Huh. Yeah, that would be another information positive. So yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's like kind of this page is in rougher shape in the original game. I'm not gonna give a negative for that because it doesn't affect the gameplay. Like I'm not gonna give a negative for changes. You know, I'm not gonna give negatives for yeah. There's like over 100. Like if you're gonna try and brute force this to try and like beat the game early with the randomization on, like it might be an option. I would imagine that like speedrunners for the remake would either just well, like how many pages are there? This could be a negative actually. I mean, there may have been this number of pages in the original game. And it does kind of depend on how far There's 300 pages. Woe be to the person who randomly gets like page 300. I can't remember which page it was in the original game. I don't know if that would be a control positive or a control negative. It could be. I mean, it depends on whether or not we get a really high number randomly. I think it would have been better if they did like. I think I actually saw like, a commentary on at Mysterium or something. That's where I got some of this information. Well, they made this look a lot less like a dentist chair. Originally, like, I mean, there was supposed to be some like really um like ominous sounding music in here. Also, I guess it's just for the VR experience, probably to just allow you to get on the chair. You kind of like walk to where the chair is and get in it because there'd be like no real motion for Oh yeah, we need to turn off the lights. Though there's no like animation there, so that's kind of weird. Okay, so we're looking for January 15th. These are actually like in order. Are we actually like looking up at the chair? No, we're not actually in the chair now. Kind of weird. How do we control this thing? Oh, there we go. Um, so this is like just a overall navigation pad. I'm not sure what to think about that. Also, yeah, this is military time. I'm not sure what to think about that. I don't think it was military time in the original. Like, it might not matter in the original, but I'm gonna look it up because it is. I mean, I think it's worth noting. Um, what am I looking for? It's possible that I might just like do like one age per day and then do Mass Effect for the rest of the time. So I just get my Mass Effect fix. Um, so MYST. Um, you can see AM and PM. So AM and PM were actually in there. So yeah, I'm gonna give that information negative. This is like another area where they made it like I might make this a freaking like bullet point rather than a negative. I might like complete if I ever type this up, I'll probably just actually revise it a little bit. This is gonna be neutral, just a point that I want to make. But I'm not sure I like it that much. Um, like I'm familiar with military time and how it works. It's just that I had to do the mental gymnastics to get to it. Um, So like 8 p.m. would be like 2000 hours. You just had to like start 12 with an ad, which isn't that hard. Um, okay, how do we? My God. Oh, lever. Okay. I'm just so used to the original game that it's probably also done for like virtual reality. I'm not gonna mention it really because like the tower rotation was an improvement. This is just neutral. Is this a Friday the 13th? Oh, wait, no, this is the year. Yeah, this is probably like just to again make it more tactile. So like doing the lever rather than just like pushing buttons. But since we're playing the PC version, I'm not going to mention. Um, okay. Is there a spider in this version? I think there's just a beetle. This could be the flamingo. It's the flamingo. It looks absolutely nothing like a flamingo. I also think they may have made some improvements. I'm not gonna. I don't think I'm gonna give it information positive for if it's because I think they're like background stars in addition to like the actual constellation itself in the original game. Maybe not. I think there are a few background stars, but I think it was. Okay. Let's go to February 3rd. 5010. Is this cycle back? There we go. It doesn't show the background of stars. It just shows the constellation. I might. This would be another information positive. Ellie? What's up? I believe this is just the cross. This is just a cross. And we're going back to PM. I Also, I think in the original game, these were actually numbers for months. So you have to, like, remember what the month numbers were. So, like, you're just taking one thing and, Stargazer! I mean, this is probably the arrow, I imagine. This isn't the arrow. The arrow goes up diagonally. This is the eye. Okay. Who's ready to solve the first puzzle? I wonder what improvements they may have made to the mechanical age entry puzzle. It is weird that they broke the bed up, or broke the chair up, because like you can't actually. There's like no way to actually like use the planetarium as the planetarium. So it feels kind of weird. I mean, I guess it's making it look like a dentist chair, or to again allow you to just walk in it depending on which VR platform you're using. I mean, if you're using the HTC Vive, you might want to actually like walk in, and it would feel weird to have to like make the motion of lying down in a chair that like isn't actually there. Ellie, what are you doing up there? likes to climb up. There's like a little 70s era like divider by the door, kind of separating the entryway from the dining area, and like there's I guess pillars that are like kind of like circular. It's hard to describe. Like there's little circular things like stacked on top of each other. It has this kind of stylish little bar thing, like pillars, where you can like look into the um, dining room from the entryway. It's like they're entirely for style, but for Ellie, like both of my cats have treated it as a fun little climbing post. It's a jungle gym. I don't think it was designed to be a jungle gym, but it's a jungle gym. Okay. So now I need to go to our notes. So we need to activate this one, and this one. Is it always evening here, or is it have we missed a day to night cycle, or is the day to night cycle kind of? I somewhat wonder if it would uh, progress mainly as we're going for ages. That would be interesting. Like once we complete the first, like our first age, and come back to Mist Island, it'll be a little later in the day. Then we do our second age just a little later in the day. Like that would be kind of neat. The flamingo, the cross, and the eyeball. Huh. Can you lower it again? There we go. I actually see it raised lower. I can kind of see the water coming off of it. That's cool. There should have been more sound effects there, actually. So it's kind of a net neutral. um, I'm not necessarily going to give it a negative because it may be a glitch. Because I remember in the original game there were sound effects of a ship coming out of the water. It was meant to sort of give you an idea of what's going on. Like, because I mean, back then there was no like they couldn't really animate the ship coming out of the water because it would you know it would just require too much. Like it may have been a bit beyond their budget, and you know it would involve basically having the player be able to like turn around and see the ship is raising out of the water. I had to create the animation, which would be tricky because you have to do fluid simulation as it's coming out of the water. Like that would be like it's difficult even now. Like it doesn't look particularly great, but it's still good enough to be impressive. Um, um, but there's no sound effects, and I don't know what they felt they didn't need to do sound effects because like the purpose of a sound effect was just to convey something happening off screen. But like that doesn't seem like a very good justification. Like they already have sound files of the ship rising out of the water. The sound would still happen. It would also be a way to direct your attention in that direction when you complete the puzzle. Like, hey, like, there's something happening over here. Oh wow! So I'm imagining that it's just a glitch. The sound file isn't triggering properly. Hey, frame rate drop there. That's wow. Like this is an RTX 3060. Like this is lower end, but this is not like the kind of graphical. Like we're going into old school MYST where it's literally a slideshow. This has got to be a little bit of an optimization issue. I'm not sure we're gonna give negatives for optimization issues. But like I'm running at 1080p on an RTX 3060, which is a new. Like it isn't top of the line, but it is like the latest generation of RTX cards. And I'm running it less than like the modern 4K resolution. Like I'm streaming it, so that might have a little bit to do with it, but I have like a tab open in the Firefox with like a few Ellie, but oh, he's behind the green screen. I know you need to get out of your own messes there. Like I'll probably only give it a negative if it's a recurring issue. You're the one who got lost behind there. You need to be the one to get yourself out. Or are you actually stuck? I keep on telling you, don't go, not to go back there. be in peril. You should know that. Not, not particularly. Mm. I should have seen the whole video. Oh well. I also very easily tell this what it. I'm not sure if that's gonna be positive worthy, but it's probably advantage even in the original Real Mist. Because like everything was a little bit static. So it's kinda hard to tell like what was going on. Well, this is like I think there's like a bit of developer commentary on YouTube, so I might watch some of that. I'm sorry, I'm trying to like keep my face in camera, but it's hard. Also, this is gonna get real mist where it like will start raining at certain points, or will the storm always be off in the distance somewhere? A little bit of physics there. I think it's just slowly drifting back to its default states, which is really particularly advanced physics. Um, which might be a little bit of an improvement. I think it's just designed to be more tactile. I'm not gonna say it's much of an improvement. It's not like clear like which is which. I'm not sure if it's worthy of a negative either. Ah, yeah, we have. The League book won't come out until like the original game it was just too dark. To, like see anything down here. Like now it's definitely like not too dark. I you see there's a button that's not powered. It's a little different, I think. It's like I remember there being two floors. Wish there were more down here than just these like random couple of schools of fishes. And maybe it's a little more beautiful once you actually get the power in there. Originally, this is just like free buttons. But again, they're altering it a little bit to um, there's gonna be like some good puzzle design here where I'm maybe not gonna really notice because I'm uh, so used to it. Yeah, okay, so it's somewhat intuitive. Like the one all the way to the left is like the nearest one. The one all the way to the right is the furthest one. It's like we're not really gonna praise things for being designed well for VR because we're not playing the VR version. We can get like hints at how much better designed it is for. Is this like a little more like realistic potentially? Or you have it drain and reseal it as some cord. This is a pretty good physics puzzle. I think I had to remember to like make notes of. I'm not used to this being mirrored. I don't know if there's any way to like naturally get more of myself in the shot without like going past the edge of the green screen. Because I'm naturally inclined to like look this way, and in my head's like at the edge of the screen. Whatever. It's a key to get at a key. This also has a. Huh? I can't remember what I need this key for. I thought there was like a trap door up here that I could get to. Oh, it's literally to make the ladder come up. Originally, it was a trap door. Why isn't this doing anything? Are you just supposed to like fill up with something? Okay. Can I give it more power? There we go. I think we might now be able to leave, potentially. No, I don't think we can. I think we need to like solve the other. There's probably a lot more information positives in here to control positives. Just because like solving puzzles is all about conveying the information to the player. I guess the same thing goes for negatives. I mean, definitely, like the puzzle symbols for the entry puzzle is information, but it's also kind of controlled to some extent. Like it's harder to. I think it's primarily information. I stand by that. Oh, power drains gradually. Now I gotta check this. I don't know if it matters if it's a change from the original. What the heck? This is a control negative potentially. That is bad. That is literally bad game design. And it takes literally like in the time it took me to write a note about how a very short note about how the chess puzzle was and still is clever. That's all I was doing. A few like seconds, maybe a minute, and the power goes out. How is that even fair? I had it like fully charged. Also, why doesn't it turn on like right away? I mean, I had to actually give it a negative score too. Because this could be like a 2 or a 3 point negative. Like everything else has been kind of iffy whether or not I should have like a score beyond just like 1 point. This definitely has the potential to be incredibly annoying. Oh yeah, that's already drained. So I just wasted frickin' time, literally. I'm not sure how this could be randomized. Maybe it could be. Maybe the actual orientation of it is um 280 degrees. I this might get a similar negative to uh it depends. Because they might actually label the compass rose a little bit. Yeah. Power not again. As far as I remember, the only way the power can go out is if you fail at the compass rose puzzle. That gives control to the player. You screw up on this puzzle, you lose power and you have to go back and start up again. This is you take too long, time which you have no control over, works against you. It discourages your exploration. It it's especially an area where we're supposed to explore. Also, I'm gonna have to figure out whether we have any kind of proper inventory. I guess there was a door here and now it's broken. It's supposed to look real clean right here, but power goes out. Oh, I think these might be lit regardless. Like, we could just do the puzzle. What? Okay. This is once again bad game design. I don't mean just because I failed it. By accidentally hitting a button when I didn't mean to. This is actually a definitive negative. I think this is actually a definitive negative. Because while um Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, like of nautical degrees. So I was complaining about how, well, I wasn't really complaining, but I was just like observing that like we're probably not gonna get a whole lot of like control positives or negatives. And then suddenly they give me a control negative, like truly after that with the whole power thing. I do like again. I do not have any issue with the power going out here because we're controlling that. We're causing it to happen by clicking the wrong thing on the compass rose. Like regardless of how stupid the compass rose puzzle is, thanks to us not being able to have any frame of reference for Ellie. Stop it. I think the actual rooms we can go into are just lit regardless of whether or not there's power. Yep. I need to. I need to. I need to eat, but I. Okay. There is the blue page. I need to actually activate the hologram. Oh, that's cute. Animated now. Oh, you can't really slide it. That's a control negative. Ellie, please! I need to focus on what I'm doing here, okay? I know you want to play, but you have lots of ways you can play by yourself, okay? Like, your papa doesn't play with you that much. Even when you're acting this way, I don't play with you that much. I don't know why you expect me to be able to play with you. I know, actually, like, snap something I can share with you, but like, maybe there's some place in here where you actually have a drawer that actually shows the nautical compass and like a mark of what degrees there are. Ah. You should actually keep this. Ellie! Quit interrupting me! I'm sure this deserves a negative because you can still kind of write down and make notes of this. There you go. We'll see if we can grab both pages in one go. If we can't, that's gonna be... That's a control negative. Like, I should have... I knew about that and I was going to report on it. As a control negative. Well, I didn't really think about whether it be control or information, but it is control. How do we get to Sirius's room? Is it like through that hallway? Here's Aknar's room. Huh. And we'll see if we can head back. We'll have to head back to Aknar's room to see if I can't remember what it to be called. Bubbles. I forget what they're called. There's like a World of Warcraft term or something. This would be an information positive for like how well decorated the like clutter. I forget what it was called. I don't remember what it's called. Okay. This would actually be a neutral in a way. If not for the fact that this was added to the game. To this new version of the game. And I mean, if I were a Warrunner, I would probably just leave this as neutral. Like, it's the absence of a negative. And he often goes off of the idea that, like, the absence of a negative is not a positive. Because you should just be expected to be able to hold 2 pages at the same time. I don't know what would happen if you go to multiple ages without returning the pages. But that's a kind of a interesting question, I guess. I honestly don't know. Like, if I were designing it, you just potentially missed out on cutscenes with the brothers. Or you either miss out, or you could only return the pages one at a time. Like, ideally, like, basically, you return page one, you see the next cutscene, then you click on the book again, return page two, see the cutscene. I don't know if I want to test that. That's how I imagine it would work. Like, there's two ways I imagine it working. One is that, um, because I mean, as a designer, you always have to account for these possibilities that they aren't going to immediately return all the pages to the books. Um, I'll also remove it if it turns out this is not actually true. If it was dumb, then it would have been even dumber here. But they didn't just fix it, especially since you don't have any like memory requirement issues to contend with. Okay, we're hearing the alarm sound even out here. Not sure why. I also feel like having the screen go black is a little weird. I can't remember if it may have been on a timer in the original game. I kind of imagine not. Okay, so I imagine that this top one is 0 degrees. So have a compass rose. So you have 0, 90, 180, and 240, I think. Now I have to do some basic math. That'd be 270. I have like 45 and dang it, I think it would be 280 would be just past 270. Um, there we go. We've activated the beacon. I think that keeps the power on indefinitely. I mean, it's very minor. I don't know if I want to like understand a compass is kind of basic when you think about it. It would have been useful to like just have a reference somewhere for people who are unfamiliar. I could just um make it an information bullet point if I want to be generous. Um, I'll think about it. If you're watching the VOD, like you could mention in the comments whether or not you think like I'm dumb for not knowing directions that a compass throws. I honestly can't remember if the power goes out if you spend too much time. Like it's a fair amount of time. It's just that I write slowly, I guess. And we're gonna get to confirm. Um, Fellowship is probably kind of meant to be the first one age you go to because it is relatively simple to um like get into it and relatively the puzzles are relatively easy. The guy solved this like really quickly. I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to do MYST tomorrow because I have I don't know. We'll figure it out. I do like work an hour earlier, so I'll technically have a bit more time. The Misfits isn't. I mean, it makes sense that it would just be mechanical here. But like, they're already like, making the pages feel more magical. They aren't really more fish. There's just looks cool. Be cool to like just randomly have a work. Here, this is a homage to Ribbon. It'd be interesting if uh, I wonder if the degree was randomized. I'm not sure exactly how, but besides just um, literally changing the orientation of the okay, and then yep, we could collect both of them. That is much needed improvement upon the original. Like I think I said while I was playing it that like it's dumb that you can only collect one page at a time. Because there's like
You
I forget the name of the character from
see you. Miss Mackinac. Help me. Bring me pages. Forever and ever.
there's
Pages.
they're lifeless.
Have the blue pages. To me.
Oh, why isn't the page gone? Oh, it's still the first cutscene.
You've returned. I thought you wouldn't return. Just to rescue me.
I wonder if there's like enough space on the side to like have to like store all the pages.
Don't hurt my brother. I beg you. Be complete. Don't. Always blue pages. Listen to him. Listen to my brother. Egotistical fool and a liar. Help me. Bring me the blue pages. Ignore the red ones. Don't bring the red ones. Earnestly implore you. Wrongfully imprisoned. You must believe me. Will have my retribution. Please bring me the blue pages. Blue pages, please.
I think the at least later on is not as cut off. You can probably hear more and make out more of a speech. That's kind of good. I'd had to like compare them side by side to like know. Also, the inclusion of subtitles in multiple languages is actually good information. I might insert that like over here, because it's a very short thing. Um, Also, it's another way of kind of differentiating myself from Warrunner is that I will give positives to things that like should be standard features. Um, at least in some cases. Like here, I think part of it is that a lot of these positives are just for improvements upon the previous game. Like from Mass Effect, I'm probably not gonna like give a positive for subtitles in Mass Effect because they were there in the original, they're there in Legendary Edition. It's just standard. Um, Here there are new editions, so I kind of feel like it's like I think there may have existed in Real Mist, but considering that they're like touting it as a feature of the game, like on the product page, I'm assuming that they're actually new. So I also feel like in the context of a remake of a game, anything that's changed or improved from the previous versions of it should be a positive. That may be my rule in general. Even if it's just modernizing it to like what our own modern standards should be. You know, adding features that we've come to expect in modern times. But I'm also assuming that you can collect multiple pages from multiple ages and without going back here. I may test that. But they did go beyond a little bit beyond what you like. I would actually expect. But it doesn't feel like realistic that you would only be able to. Like I could test this with Cirrus, but like by leaving the page there and then like coming back, adding the additional page and seeing if it like appears like over. So I believe there are just like 4 ages, and there's like literally space for 4 different pages, maybe even 5. Because I mean, you could just not mess the books to begin with, and then just like who knows what that would look like. Like, it's also possible that like the pages won't start being added in to the slots until you activate the first page.
Return. Thank you for bringing the red page. You must continue to help me. My name is Cirrus. Release me. Next time, look. Don't. My brother. My brother is guilty. I wrongfully imprisoned. Bring the red page to me.
Whoever did the voice acting does a pretty good like if it isn't the Miller brothers, they got people who like could do the voices very well. Like you can tell it's a different recording because the performance is slightly different, but like the sound of the voices is very similar. Like it could be the same, the Miller brothers again, but I doubt it because your voice kind of ages a little bit too. So I mean, it's entirely possible. Cool. Like this automatically is in windowed mode, so I can go back and forth pretty easily. At least once I like go into the menu system. Um. So anyway, there's a bunch of things you can do. It'll take a few seconds of your time. Um. Yeah. Yeah. So other options you have the Patreon poll if you're interested in if you have opinions on which simulation game I should play on Saturday. But in any case, thanks for watching, and until next time, sayonara.